I need to get something off my chest. A story I've been holding on to for a long time. Something that gave me stomach cramps and sleepless nights. Maybe it'll be a cautionary tale for someone. Or maybe just venting will do me good. As the title suggests, it's a classic devil boss scenario, but the ending isn't quite what you'd expect. It all started about 2 years ago when I landed what I thought was a brilliant career move at this company. The position was good, the salary was decent, and initially, everything seemed rosy. Until he arrived as the head of the department, the man who fully deserved the nickname the Monster. That's what we called him behind his back, of course. To his face, it was always a forced Mr. Harrison, sir. Mr. Harrison was a textbook narcissist and micromanager. At first, I tried to rationalize his behavior as new manager stress, but I was dead wrong. This guy had a personal issue, and for some reason, I became his favorite target. It began with small digs, cutting me off in meetings, belittling my ideas, making pointed remarks in front of everyone like, "You need to work harder." I tried to swallow it, maintain my professionalism. Maybe I really do need to try harder, I thought naively. But over time, the intensity of the mobbing escalated. He started giving me impossible tasks with impossibly short deadlines. He took credit for projects I successfully completed, yet blamed me entirely for the slightest hiccup. He'd deliberately delay responding to my emails, withhold crucial information, and then demand, "Why wasn't I informed?" He also tried to isolate me socially. During team lunches, he'd steer the conversation towards me, making humiliating jokes. He'd summon me to his office and make me wait for hours for no reason. It was outright psychological warfare. My colleagues noticed, but no one dared to stand up to Mr. Harrison. Some gave me pitying looks. Others just looked away. A few privately asked if I was okay, but nobody was willing to be a witness. I felt incredibly alone and helpless. I started waking up every morning feeling sick to my stomach, dreading going to work. My performance inevitably began to suffer because I was constantly on edge, my motivation completely crushed. And Mr. Harrison seemed to relish watching it happen, adopting an "I told you so" attitude. I considered going to HR, but I knew how untouchable Mr. Harrison was within the company. I'd heard whispers about how previous complaints had been swept under the rug. Going without solid proof would only solidify my place on his chopping block. That's when I decided to put up my defenses. If he wanted a war, he'd get one. The game begins, gathering evidence and an unexpected discovery. I started documenting everything. The tasks he assigned with dates and times, the demeaning emails he sent, including screenshots, notes from meetings. Recording wasn't legally feasible, but I took detailed notes, potential witnesses, noting incidents, not just names. Every evening, I meticulously logged the day's events into a secure file. The process itself was exhausting, but it gave me a sense of purpose. One day, Mr. Harrison assigned another impossible project deadline, explicitly stating, "If you can't deliver this, you'll face the consequences." I worked late nights, sacrificed my weekend, and somehow managed to finish it. On presentation day, Mr. Harrison took the presentation from me, delivered it himself, and soaked up all the praise. He didn't mention my name once. Something inside me snapped. This wasn't just unfair, it was outright theft of my hard work. That evening, fueled by anger and a bit of desperation, I started digging into Mr. Harrison's previous projects and reports. I thought maybe I could find an inconsistency, an error, something to strengthen my case with HR. While browsing old files on the company's shared server, something caught my eye. It was the expense report for a large budget project managed by Mr. Harrison, assigned to an employee who had left before me. Something was off. Certain invoices, certain supplier names, they didn't seem quite right, and the figures looked inflated. I dug deeper, staying late at the office. Thankfully, I was on good terms with the security guard. I accessed old invoice archives and supplier agreements. And then, bingo, it appeared Mr. Harrison was channeling company funds through several small, seemingly front companies, charging exorbitant prices for services never fully rendered or massively overbilled. When I searched for these companies online, none had real websites, addresses, or registrations. They were just names. Worse still, by tracing the payments made to these shell companies' bank accounts, thanks to some basic accounting knowledge and certain system access privileges I had. Yes, it was risky, but what did I have left to lose? I found clues suggesting the money was indirectly funneled into an account belonging to a relative of Mr. Harrison. This wasn't just mobbing anymore. This was straight-up embezzlement, corporate fraud. The evidence I held was no longer just about my personal grievance. It was much, much bigger. My heart was pounding. This information could destroy Mr. Harrison, but it could also destroy me. One wrong move, and I could lose my job and potentially face even bigger trouble. The final play, an unlikely ally and the grand finale. I was paralyzed, unsure what to do. HR was still too risky. Going directly to senior management could be blocked by Harrison's allies. Then I remembered an elderly gentleman, one of the company's founders, now retired but still serving as an honorary board member. Mr. Thompson, an old-school figure known for his integrity and deep commitment to the company's founding principles. I'd heard rumors he wasn't particularly fond of Mr. Harrison, but I couldn't be sure. Taking a huge gamble, I reached out to Mr. Thompson. I sent a brief email outlining the seriousness of the situation without naming names initially, requesting a meeting. To my surprise, he responded almost immediately, suggesting we meet the next day at a quiet cafe outside the office. My hands were shaking as I went to the meeting. I brought copies of all the documents I'd gathered, the shell company invoices, suspicious transfer records, approvals bearing Mr. Harrison's signature. Mr. Thompson listened intently. His expression shifted from curiosity to shock, then to deep disappointment, and finally, to ice-cold fury. After examining the documents, he sat in silence for a long moment. Then he looked at me and said, "My dear, you have done something incredibly brave. These were not the values we envisioned when we built this company. Don't worry, this will be handled." What followed was like something out of a movie. Mr. Thompson convened an emergency board meeting. Without revealing my identity, he presented the evidence he now possessed. A major internal audit was launched immediately. Mr. Harrison initially acted oblivious, even dismissing the audit as a routine check. But when the auditors focused on the areas I had flagged, everything unraveled like a poorly knit sweater. Within a few weeks, Mr. Harrison was stripped of all his authority, and legal proceedings were initiated against him. He was summarily dismissed from the company. You should have seen the look on that arrogant, domineering man's face. Utter shock and panic. We crossed paths in the hallway as he was escorted out. He looked me straight in the eye but couldn't say a word. I think in that instant, he finally understood. The person who brought him down was the insignificant employee he had relentlessly tormented and underestimated. The aftermath and update. Mr. Harrison was fired, and the legal case against him is ongoing. The company went through a significant shakeup but also got a chance to clean house. My mobbing claims were validated during the investigation, and the company management formally apologized to me. With Mr. Thompson's support, I was appointed as the acting head of the department. Yes, you heard that right. I am now sitting in his former chair, and my first priority has been to detoxify the department's atmosphere and create a fair, respectful working environment. Those nightmarish days are behind me. It took a heavy toll. I was exhausted. But seeing justice served brings an incredible sense of satisfaction. And the best part? The poor performance report Mr. Harrison had prepared to get me fired was found sitting on his desk the very day the embezzlement scandal broke. Talk about poetic justice. T.L. Docker, my boss who bullied me relentlessly for years, turned out to be embezzling company funds. I uncovered the evidence and secretly passed it to a retired but influential board member. Boss got fired, faces legal action, and I ended up getting his job. The last laugh was definitely mine. Thanks for reading. I hope my story gives a little bit of hope to anyone in a similar situation not to give up. Sometimes, even in the darkest moments, there's a way out, as long as you don't stop looking for it.